Good morning, students. We are going to continue with the bioinorganic chemistry, lesson 4. We looked at lesson 3, which had an application of the HSAB theory, and we looked at hemoglobin molecule, the poisoning nature of carbon monoxide, the cyanide poisoning nature, which is similar to carbon monoxide. Also, we used the theory to explain the occurrence of metal in the nature, why magnesium, calcium, and aluminium, calcium and magnesium occur as a carbonate, but are not as a sulfide, while copper 1, silver 1, and occur as a sulfide and not as a carbonate. We looked at the mercury and the arsenic 3 poisoning. An antidote, where we said an antidote is a substance which counteracts the action of the poison. We went to further to look at the choice of an antidote. What you base on when you are choosing an antidote. We said an antidote must be soluble, must be non-poisonous, an antidote metal complex must be stable, an antidote must be selective in the action, an antidote metal complex must be stable, and so many others. Today, we are going to look at heavy metals in the environment. Environment refers to the biosphere, which includes all organisms 600 meters above sea level and 10,000 meters below sea level. In the pre-technological era, the cycling of chemical element was basically at a steady state. But due to man and his anthropogenic input, these have overloaded the natural biochemical cycle, with the consequence that toxic elements circulate into soil, water, and air. When these heavy metals or toxins build up into those when toxic elements circulate into soil, air, and water, they end up into food chain. And these toxic elements are of no beneficial advantage to man. Let us look at the sources of toxic elements. We have a natural source. This includes surface mineralization, forest fires, volcanic outgassing, and so many others. Another one is use of agricultural fertilizer and sprays. These include phosphatic fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides, which contain heavy metals as impurities or as active constituents. Another one is disposal of waste from mines and mills. We have also emission from larger industries like metal smelter and cement industries. These release metals in the dust and effluents. Another source is emission from municipal community. For example, tobacco smoking, perfumes and cosmetics, and then rubbish burning. Emission from moving forces. An example is automobile and agricultural machinery. There is emission from exposed rocks. And we have also those ones which are biologically regulated, for example, from pollen grains. Let us look at the major pollutants. Among those ones, we have mercury. And not all forms of mercury are poisonous. Liquid mercury is not toxic. However, since it is a constituent of gasoline or petrol, burning fuel releases mercury into the air. The other sector that introduces mercury into the environment include pharmaceuticals, agriculture, pulp and paper industry, weathering of mercury-bearing rocks, and so many others. The mobility of mercury in the environment is facilitated by the fact that many mercury forms can be converted into many allyl mercury forms. And this is the allyl form. There is also an interconversion. An example is given in this equation. And when you look at mercury in air, mercury in water, we have the free mercury, which goes to mercury ions, and then converted it to allyl mercury or methyl mercury, which ends in fish. And then when the man eats the fish, he gets that mercury, or the mercury ends up into man. The effect of mercury pollution include monomethyl mercury and dimethyl mercury produces nervous disorder in marine animals. And also contact with mercury produces fear, inability to make a decision, heaviness, headache, fatigue, failing teeth, diarrhea, and others. Also, mercury brings about genetic changes. Cadmium. This one interferes with the proper zinc and copper metabolism. Most of the cadmium found in air originate from disposal and burning of cadmium-containing products, e.g., the rubber tires. An example is rubber tires, plastics, and others. It also enters air as a byproduct of refinery of metals. The example is the refinery of zinc. Acute cadmium poisoning leads to vomiting, lung irritation, nausea, and salivation. Also, exposure to cadmium, when it is absorbed in the kidney, it causes hypertension and anemia. Cadmium is very dangerous to pregnant women because it leads to miscarriage and brain damage to babies. Also, cadmium can cause the whole body to become painful and the bones begin to fracture very easily. Lead. Lead is a slow accumulative poison. It accumulates in the tissue of human body and the leaves of plants. The major sources of lead include the lead-based paints, cosmetics, where people use lead acetate to reduce on the growth of the gray hair. It is added as a tetraethyl lead in car engines to reduce knocking. Though most of the petrol stations are showing unleaded petrol, but some people smuggle it into the countries or in Uganda. And when we use the unleaded petrol, what happens? The burning of petrol air mixture in the cylinder of the internal combustion engine of the vehicle takes place at a higher speed. This higher speed results into the following. One, jacks are given to the piston. These jacks produce a noise known as knocking, and knocking is harmful for engine. It is harmful for engine since it reduces the efficiency of the engine, it damages the cylinder and the piston of the engine. Another one is the burning of petrol, which is incomplete, releasing the unburnt hydrocarbon and the carbon monoxide in the environment. So this high speed of burning of the fuel, which is caused by knocking, takes place, and the incomplete combustion of the fuel can be reduced by adding an anti-knocking agent into the fuel. The main or the monly used anti-knocking agent is the tetraethyl lead. In the cylinder of the internal combustion engine, the tetraethyl lead decomposes to give ethyl radical. Lead formed gets deposited in the cylinder. This deposited lead is removed by adding a dihalide alkane like 1,2-dibromoethane to the petrol together with the tetraethyl lead. This alkane converts deposited lead into lead chloride or lead bromide. The lead halogen formed are volatile and hence they go out of the engine with exhaust gases, and this mixes with air. The lead chloride or lead bromide are dangerous compound. That one includes in the amount of lead in the environment. Some of the harmful effects of lead are due to the prolonged effect of lead on human body, it causes the red blood cell to become rough. The malformation of red blood cell produces the disease known as anemia. Lead gets bound with the cellular enzyme and disrupts the function of the cells and organs of the muscular circulation and nervous system. Lead develops abnormality in the fertility and pregnancy mothers. Lead causes coagulation of proteins, and when taken in by humans, even in small amount, it affects breathing and nervous system. Excessive intake of lead causes disruption of the synthesis of hemoglobin. It also leads to loss of appetite. Cure of lead poisoning. How do we cure lead? Remember, for the antidotes, we use an antidote to cure metal poisoning. For this case, lead poisoning can be cured by feeding the patient with an aqueous solution of calcium complex of EDTA. What happens? Lead ion displaces calcium ions present in the calcium EDTA complex and forms a chelated complex of lead EDTA. Since this chelated complex of lead ion is soluble, it is passed out of the body through urine. An assignment I can leave you with: look at a car and list all the possible sources of pollution from it. Nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is an abundant element in the atmosphere, covering about 78% of the atmosphere by volume. Yet nitrogen deficiency sometimes limits the plant growth. Nitrogen is a constituent of naturally occurring compounds such as amino acids, proteins, and nucleic acid, as we mentioned earlier in the previous lessons. These complex molecules are built up of smaller organic compounds. Plants do not incorporate nitrogen into organic compound. They depend on various types of bacteria to make nitrogen available to them in the nitrogen cycle. The nitrogen cycle represents the transformation of inorganic nitrogen to organic nitrogen together with the reverse degradation processes. In this cycle, soil ammonia is converted to nitrate by the action of microorganisms. Nitrate is assimilated by plants and built up into organic molecules. Plants convert such molecules into more complex compound. And on death, the compound is broken down, leading to the formation of ammonia. So an assignment I can leave you with: draw the nitrogen cycle and include all the processes involved in the cycle. Next time, we are going to look at organometallic, and today's lesson has led to the end of bioinorganic chemistry. Kindly read about organometallic before the interaction in lesson 5.